Hello and welcome. Today we have a VOD review on Lunar Colony. We got a Master Winston player. I've never seen this video before, so I'll be commenting in real time. One final note, there seems to be a lot of noise outside my apartment, so sorry about that. Hopefully it doesn't interrupt us too much. Okay, cool. Let's get started. Running the 2-2-2, but notice how the composition is actually quite different from what we might consider like a standard, where you're running things like, Zenyatta, Genji, Tracer, things like that. So actually got the pharmacy and you got the soldier. So the reason I mention this is because a lot of times players, they kind of get, when a meta starts to kind of establish itself, they get stuck in a certain mindset and they kind of get used to playing with a certain composition. And, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But what happens to a lot of players is once you kind of switch up the composition on them, they still play that same way they're used to. And then when it doesn't work, they're kind of like, what the hell? Like, why am I not improving or whatever? So in this particular case, this Winston has to be very vigilant about the way he dives in and engages. Thankfully, he still has the diva. That's something that I know can throw off Winstons when they don't have a diva, when they're used to having the diva. So in this case, this Winston has to be very careful about not having, Genjis and Tracers to dive with and, things like that. So cool. So just, just to kind of give a high level advice right now to start off with, basically not having the Genji and Tracer means that you need to tone down the aggression a little bit. You're gonna have to be a little bit more slow with your engagements, a little bit more methodical than you normally would. Cool. So let's just kind of leave it at that and let's get started. Cool.
One. Attack commencing.
All right. So right off the okay, is that a turret? Okay, so Widow Mine, and I thought I saw turret shots, or maybe it was, well, whatever. Anyways, we'll let this play. Cool. So you got the Lucio in front of you, the Diva's to your right. So far, I'd like to see how the defense is setting up, but I think I would like for this player to go right initially. That being said, let's kind of wait a few more seconds to see what the defense looks like. I think this is a Diva, and we heard the Widow Mine, so there's also a Widowmaker. Okay.
Widows.
Okay, and they have Lucio. Okay, so you're in this left room. You're just kind of waiting here. Obviously, from this room, you can't. There's no hallway, so you're gonna have to go out again. That's cool. I like this so far. This is great.
Sniper.
Stay together.
Okay. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, there's nothing necessarily wrong with this play to come on this side. Actually, I think it's perfectly fine. So you gotta wait for your team to kind of join you. Yeah, okay, this is cool. Okay, and they have a Tracer. So, and is that, let me play this a little bit more. Oh yeah, okay, so then you got Widow right here, looks like. Let me change the color. This looks like Widow. Sorry, the quality's not as great. But actually still this is fine. Well, actually, okay, so actually I take that back. So right here, you probably should have just stayed here. This Winston player should have just stayed the moment he kind of did this dive of his. No reason to peek out again. So like right here, this literally does nothing unless you were going to throw down a bubble to help your teammates make this cross, which is a little bit unnecessary because the Diva with DM is probably better suited for that. You want to save your bubble for engagements most of the time when possible. So so all that being said, this player probably should have just waited behind and just chilled. Yeah, just waited behind the wall and just waited there. Okay.
Back.
Oh, okay, so he's going for a dive. I don't mind this. Unfortunately, he did this the moment the recall went through, so this is fine. Okay. Yeah, good. Actually, it would have been much better to actually go up here, to go this way. By doing this, as the tank, you're kind of putting your team in a weird spot. So definitely should have gone for the high ground. Because now your team is kind of confused. It's like, okay, well, do we follow Winston on the low ground, which is generally not as advantageous as the high ground? Or do they go for high ground and then you push the low ground, which doesn't really make sense since Winston's not a flanker. I mean, he can in certain circumstances, he can kind of flank, but not typically what your bread and butter is.
Winston in. He has jump.
And I'm not a huge fan that you burn that health pack because you only lost 12 HP. But, the reason I say that is because, if a fight starts, you know, actually like roughly in this area, maybe you can fall back and get that health pack. But not a horrible thing to do. So
I feel great.
Tracer low.
Well, point here, dude.
I'm 60%.
cool. So, and actually, was there a Torbjorn turret? I'm just going back to that.
Tracer low.
Well, point here, dude.
No, I guess not. Okay, cool.
I'm 60% turret.
Okay.
Oh, Widow, dude.
Fine.
Diva, you dropped your matrix,
Oh,
bud.
I'm out.
I'm 83.
So, if you had gone to, okay, so let's kind of go over what just happened. You went for the low ground, then you went to the point. That's typically not Winston's job. That's more of the job of, again, of a flanker to do. So, you know, Tracer's, Genji's really good at doing that and pulling pressure off of the point, off of like a choke. And then when the opponents collapse on them, if they do, they can either choose to engage, you know, or just back off because they're so mobile. So, you know, depending on what they see from the defense, they can decide accordingly. As Winston, not nearly as flexible. You're a giant target. Once your cooldowns are kind of down, you're kind of screwed for a little while. Whereas, you know, you can imagine things like deflect, swift strike, recall, blink. You know, these are things that are really well suited. Not to mention they're smaller targets. They move faster. So overall, this is just not what Winston does. And again, it feels like maybe you're a bit actually, you know, this ties in nicely to what we were talking about earlier, where you're kind of playing a style where I think you're assuming that there's going to be a Genji and Tracer on the point with you to kind of start fighting, but that's just not the case. Your team needs you to clear that top. Well, in this case, they needed you to clear that top side, push out the Widow, push everything forward, and then you could collapse onto the point as a team. So, so basically, the main mistake you made was just going for the low ground instead of the high ground. If you go for high ground, this probably plays out much better. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Oh, okay.
Go.
Wait, what? what was their Winston doing? All right, whatever. YOLO
I've
Q.
got res.
Okay, so now what do you do? So actually, whoa. Sorry about the noise. I'm not sure if you can hear it.
I've got res.
Okay. All right, this is awesome. So you got the kill. They got Tracer. Okay, so interesting. Now the question is, what do you do in this situation? You just killed Winston. Well, your team did. The best thing you can do is absolutely dive onto that Widow. Now, hopefully, as a team, you guys don't make the mistake where you just literally charge in head on. Much better to get on the high ground, push out that left side and that right side, see where the defense is, and then again push them back. But instead of just kind of like literally diving onto them, you know, and getting headshotted in the face by Widow. So don't do that. Okay.
I've got a res.
Good job.
Okay, so you got a Diva there on the top right that we just saw. Not really the target you're looking for. It looks like you're looking. Oh, I was just gonna say it looks like you were looking for a better target, which I was really happy about. But then you turned to the right and went for the Diva. Now let's actually break this down because this is actually pretty interesting.
I've
So-
got a res.
Good, jump in a sec.
Boom. Ah, darn, I just missed it. Well, that's fine. So notice how you saw the Diva, then you looked left and you saw nothing to the left, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna go for Diva on the right. That is okay, but smart players won't always show themselves. They won't always give up their position so freely, especially in a situation like this where they know they're down a man, so they're gonna be a little bit more cautious. So even though no one was showing on that left side, I can almost guarantee you that someone's over there in that general area, and as Winston, you can press that. Going for this Diva, that's kind of what they want in this situation. They want their tank to literally, you know, absorb all the pressure, and then they can heal the Diva and then, you know, kind of play off that. As Winston, you have an opportunity here to kind of, you know, again, push the high ground, clear it out, make sure it's empty, and then, you know, and then see how much more ground that the defense is willing to give you. So that being said, going for the Diva here, not horrible. In the 6v5 situation, it's kind of hard to make a bad move.
Jumping.
Okay. Oh, and then you got a Lucio up here, so definitely prioritize him. This bubble's great. Cool.
Lucio.
I'm stuck.
Oh,
Mercy
that
dead.
Tracer though.
Careful.
Okay. Still it's a 5v5. Their Winston will be back before your Mercy, which sucks, but I would actually go for Broke here. Oh, actually, hold on one sec. Let me try that again. So up here, I don't know who this is, but you have someone up here. they can ideally push forward. You can push forward too. You got teammates behind you. I think you can go. Now the question is, how do you do this dive? What you don't want to do is just jump straight onto the point. You want to probably just jump right here, dance with this wall, and then react accordingly, especially since you don't have your shield. You have 5 seconds left. Okay.
What? A lol XD 420.
Okay, and you held on to your jump pack. That's totally fine. That's good.
56.
Pushing forward. Okay, so oh, I think that's, yeah, that's excuse me. We got the Widow line here, so that's obviously you got a Widow over there. I'm not quite sure if this is Widow though. That kind of looks like Anna actually, but that might be Widow or someone else. Oh yeah, they did have an Anna. I bet you that's Anna. Yeah. Anyways, whatever. Cool. Okay, so I like that you're using this wall here to your left. That's awesome. That's exactly what you want to keep doing while pressing this Lucio. Actually, your bubble's up now, so you can actually get it more aggressive. If you want, you can push. Sorry, what I mean to say is you can actually chase this Lucio and get aggressive. You know, he's going to want to stay in the line of sight of his Widow. If he does that, that's fine. You can just put down your bubble. Cool, so let's get this going.
On my way.
A little too defensive on that bubble. Notice how actually right here you can kind of see there's still kind of line of sight from the doorway. So you want it to completely surround the doorway with your bubble, if that makes sense. Like you want to block it as much as possible with your bubble. So not so great there. Man, that Tracer is destroying your backline. She is good. And I think she was the top 500 player, so it makes sense. Cool. Wait, how did that happen? You killed Lucio. Let me see that again.
56.
And the back.
On my way.
Cool. Very nice short jump. I would have liked to seen that earlier. So that little, you know, that little small jump that you did, awesome. Would have liked to seen it earlier. That's cool though.
Yeah.
Not the best Diva
Listen low,
ultimate.
listen low.
Is there a res?
Res
Oh, there it is. Cool. You guys can maybe still bring this back. Get in there. Get in there.
Nice. Diva.
Tracer.
Good.
Tracer was dead.
Get the jump.
Deep is out of me.
Diva, dude.
Good. Put to yes. Excellent. Perfect. Yes.
Diva low.
This is pretty good. Jump out. Good. Actually, you might have had time to just walk out and not jump out.
Diva 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you had time to actually, if you reacted quickly enough, you had time to just literally walk out and then jump back in. You unfortunately had to burn your jump pack out. That's gonna make it longer for you to get back in, but you know, it's a micro thing. Cool. But you know, obviously these little micro decisions are important.
Winnie low.
Oh, the Widow. I don't know if I like this actually. Okay. I think the better move was to actually, again, block the doorway with your bubble, with your E, and then just collapse onto the, I believe they're Winston Primal Rage based on the sound, and then just collapse on the enemy Winston. That being said, this isn't a horrible play, but it might cause you to burn your Primal Rage if the enemy kind of just streams in on you, so we'll see what happens. Especially since you already got tagged.
Nice.
Oh, actually, okay, this is pretty good. You're actually just creating space. You're using the line of sight. I love this. I love it. Oh, this is so great. Yeah, actually, don't peek. There's no point in peeking here. You have nothing to gain. Awesome. This is excellent gameplay. I love it. No, Farah, what are you doing? Okay, cool. You got the point. Great. Cool. Okay.
I'm nearly red.
Diva on top. Drop a bubble.
I've got res.
I don't really like this bubble. Okay, so let's look at this again. Yeah, I definitely don't like this bubble. There's not a whole lot of incoming fire. Your opponents don't have that grid of line of sight onto you, right? Because they're like kind of on the low ground. So this bubble, not so great. It doesn't do a whole lot. They might break it, but not necessarily because it was like a good idea to. They probably just don't have much to shoot. So we'll see what happens. But I feel like you're going to need this bubble in a few seconds to actually dive.
I've got res.
Yeah, this is. I'm gonna guess and say this bubble is gonna put you in trouble soon.
Waste Diva's reach you duck it all.
Okay, your Farah died. Actually, because you're Farah, well, it's solo queue. I don't mind this. Okay, this is fine. Again, Okay, the part that's not fine is that you don't have your bubble. You absolutely needed that bubble. If you had your bubble, I wouldn't mind this play. Since you don't have it, I really mind this play. No. Okay. You got the res from the Mercy. Let me see that again. Okay, so if you were gonna do this, let's break this down. Oops, sorry, that's not what I wanted. Right here. Right. Okay, you just took damage. Okay, so your goal now is to position yourself in such a way where you can be, assuming you want to burn Primal Rage, which I actually am not a fan of, but because you did, you needed to make sure you pushed her into that corner. You actually use her, you use a second jump after you Primal Rage, which actually pushes her further away from the corner and closer to her spawn. So really big, mechanical error here. Right here, you can actually just, you could probably just walk to her or just jump this way. The jumping's probably better, but you definitely want to jump over here and then push her this way. And you want to use your S key as you push the left shift key button. That way, your jump is a short one. Yeah, so pretty big mechanical error. She missed her sleep dart. Lucky for you. Cool. And actually, yeah, more reason to definitely not walk and to jump. That way she's more likely to miss her sleep dart. Well, actually, that's not necessarily true. Whatever. We won't get into that. Okay.
I'm dead.
Cool. Going for the Widow. Push her in. Yes. Nice. Hey, not bad. Okay, cool. Anyways, as you can see, that that Primal Rage was pretty much useless, actually. Even if you kill that Anna, and let's say you kill the Widow, unless your team was really popping off, that's unlikely to work. So like that kind of play is acceptable when you already got like a kill or two that your team got. Instead, you actually lost Farah, so is a 5v6, and then your Mercy burned res. So now you don't have like one of your biggest like turning tools in the next fight. So in my opinion, if I were to see that, I immediately just hold on to everything, hold on to my cooldowns, maybe try to bait out cooldowns from the opponents, and then you see what happens on the next push. Okay. Okay, cool. It's good. It's good. It's good. Yeah, so again, I like you pushing the high ground. I like you up here. And Orisa, interesting. Again, this bubble doesn't do a whole lot for you. And the reason is simple. Your opponents don't have good light signs. Good line of sights on you. So, even if they break this bubble, it's not very useful. I'd much rather you just kind of face tank some damage on Orisa, and to just kind of just try to push her back. And then you can decide accordingly. If she's getting a lot of support, you back off. If you're getting a lot of support, you push forward. Roughly that's the idea. And then you can decide when to dive with your bubble. So again, you burned your bubble. Now for the next 12 seconds, you probably can't dive. And if you do, it's going to go like last time.
Our Diva needs help. There's a Tracer behind.
And I want to commend you, by the way, on your collapsing of the Tracers. I think this is the third time you've collapsed onto Tracer and put pressure on her. Stellar. I love this. This is awesome. A lot of Winstons don't do this. So I'm really happy that you've been doing this and really pressing her, making her use more cooldowns, and just applying pressure on her. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Please keep that up. That's a part of your gameplay that I absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? It's part of your gameplay that I really like. Okay. Okay. So now you're going for this left side. Again, you kind of like we talked about earlier, you really need to push that high ground, and put pressure on your opponent's front line, namely the Orisa. That being said, you have your shield up in 2 seconds. You could probably dive on someone from this angle, so I don't hate this, but I'm not in love with it. Okay, so actually I like this. Okay, so you're trying to get a lay of the land, see what's up. Cool.
Jump back if you need, Winnie.
Okay, so at this point I would just abort. I wouldn't even bother diving.
Dead.
Nice, good.
Yeah, Tracer followed me and he was like, I would have died.
No, that's fine. Okay.
On my way.
That Tracer is good. Cool. I'm assuming you guys are dead here. No, please don't. tell me she's gonna use res.
Experiment.
Okay, good. Whew, okay.
Get it,
Should be
Tracer.
done.
You guys have 4 ults. Okay.
Fuck me.
I'm not gonna be able to.
This is good. Chaser, chaser, chaser. Put pressure. No, again, you're burning that bubble too early. If you had less than 300 health, then maybe that's okay. Oh, I would say then it's definitely okay because you're in her kill range, but you're not in her kill range yet. So again, you're way too preemptive with the bubbles.
Diva, please.
Nice. Okay. I'm not sure what Diva's doing there, but that's cool.
Behind,
Okay.
behind.
So now you want to disengage. It looks like you're about to. That's awesome. I don't. Well, okay. Yeah, this is fine. Okay.
I'm dead.
Man, your mercy keeps
Yeah,
dying.
I told
That's
you that.
unfortunate.
Yeah,
Okay.
just not-
Yeah,
Jump
I told you that.
there.
It's crazy.
E down. Okay.
Feels like
Okay. We won't focus so much on the mechanical stuff. I
I'm
want to
gonna
focus
raise
more.
you.
I want to focus. That res. I want to focus more on the decision making, so I'm not going to worry about too much about that kind of stuff. Man, these reses are killing me.
Try and kill that Tracer.
Tracer behind.
Another Diva ult. No, again with the bubble. I see what you're trying to do. So actually, this bubble doesn't bother me. Just execution-wise, I don't think it saved anyone. It looks like, yeah, that's pretty funny.
Maybe you guys can say
So
Tracer's-
actually, this is I think I'm gonna wrap up this VOD because I unfortunately don't have too much more time to work on it. Oh, that primal rage. Again, this is kind of like a low value primal rage. You guys clearly lost that fight. There's almost no way this primal rage, unless you're planning on killing literally everyone by yourself. This almost certain you're not gonna get the point just because they have a huge spawn advantage here. So you need to be very what's the word I'm looking for? Just very careful about the way you use your ultimates. You gotta wait you gotta use them at the right opportunities. And this is definitely not one of them. And to be fair, you haven't really had many good opportunities to use Primal Rage because your team's engagements are really poor. Okay, so I'm gonna let this play while I talk. The biggest thing, or sorry, not the biggest thing. One thing I want to point out that I usually don't get to talk about in my VOD reviews is what happens when one player is just totally crushing it. Like they're just totally carrying their team and nothing you can do. You just can't win because this one player is just popping off. So in this case, that's this Tracer, and she's clearly carrying her team. Now, when that happens, you absolutely have to adjust your strategy. You need to play in a way that makes sure that you're punishing them as much as possible, because chances are, with the way the matchmaking system works, there's a good chance that if you take out that Tracer, the rest of the team's just going to fall apart and not know what the heck they're doing when the Tracer's dead. So how do you do that as Winston? So in this particular case, you've noticed that she's been pressing your back line a lot and just getting kills and just feeding off of them. So as Winston, you need to first of all save your bubbles for when she goes on your teammates. Oh, nice, you guys are making something here. And then like you were doing earlier, just really collapse onto her. Like really make sure, like try to look for the paths that she is that she's flanking from and push her back. As Winston, that's pretty hard to do because Tracer kind of just pretty much beats up on Winston. If you were Diva, that'd be a little bit easier. Well, actually, I would say quite a bit easier. But you know, it's solo queue, so you kind of have to work with what you have. So if you really wanted to stick to the Winston, you just have to really kind of get creative with, you know, protecting your backline, helping them out. Hopefully your Diva pushes forward more, and then you can again kind of bodyguard your backline and again just kind of dissuade Tracer from fucking up your backline. Okay, one last thing, you could also consider switching. So you know, Roadhog kind of sucks right now, but let's assume Roadhog was, you know, still decent. That would be a good. This would be an excellent time to switch. If you can switch to Roadhog and bodyguard your backline against the Tracer, excellent strategy. You know, Roadhog can absolutely destroy Tracer. Not so much these days, but in general, in theory. Cool. So yeah, let's see, what can we wrap up? So definitely your bubble usage. Don't use them so early. You got to save them for the right moments. That's probably your biggest problem. And again, I would have liked to seen more collapses onto the opponent Tracer. And again, not just collapses, but literally just sticking with your backline and blocking flanking routes to make it harder for her, make her work harder to get those nice flanks off. Cool. Yeah, I think that's it. That wraps up this video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Thank you.